So, welcome back on Lightwave Digital, and today I show how to create with FFX in Lightwave a short hair set. And for that I built that little example scenes they show here, and that's the first scene from some more. And I show here in what way you can create a hair set. So you see here the render output with Octane. So if you open the scene and the new version from Lightwave have Octane, then activate Octane, and then you can load it one to one. And I hope you have then the same output as myself you see here. And if not, then ignore it. You can also load that hair set without to use Octane. But all the shaders in that scene and also the lighting and the hair himself have Octane shaders. You have to know that, yeah? So if you work with Lightwave native renderer, with the internal renderer, then you have to rebuild the scene for that internal renderer. So that as first, so if you start the scene, it look like that. And you would found there in that scene package also this here, so that's Luis, let us call that character so. And the plan is to give Luis some hairs, yeah? So you see in that layer, in the layers from Luise, from that digital double or double, many different hair sets. Yeah, I built all that hair sets so that you have an idea in what way you can create hairs. For example, if you look at that hair sets, it's all spline based hair sets, and that show different ways to build the hairs along a head. Yeah, and what type of patches you can build and do with splines. Yeah, and you can also see, so that's a typical output if you work with the internal FFX and you build hairs with 2-point poly chains. So that's another technique, the second technique. And you found also for that technique many different hair sets. And I built also in the scene package a folder, it's named hair set, and you will found in there that hair set I show here. So you can rebuild it if you want. That means if we now go to that head for build hair set, yeah, I call it so that everybody can find that. You see that that head have an area there's extra, yeah, and that's the skin only that is under the hairs. And in that area I would build now hairs. So let us do it quickly. So that's especially also for beginner to understand and how in what way it works. Yeah, so you go to setup in the modeler and go to FFX and start it, and then you will see that that head in the preview. And you would see also here some types or all shader you have or areas for surfaces you give for that character. In my case it's that Luis shader. Luis shader means the face and the skin and so. And we have here that hair shader or hair shader, and that's the area I want to grow hair. So if I click now to grow, you see, okay, it's grow it 100 fibers with the edge quality from 3. Okay. And now you can build your own hair set, and you have to understand that every from that here is not really a hair, it's only a guide along you can build many hairs with a quantity, and also you can mix it later with clusters. I show that later in the Lightwave layouter. So as first you can see, say, okay, I need 1000 from that fibers. Yeah. So that's what I want, and I need an edge quality from 12, for example, yeah, and then you can begin to play with, for example, the gravity. or with slopen or whatever you want, yeah? So you can use for that what you do here the gravity, or you can do it later in layout. So that's your destination, not mine. Yeah, but for example, you can do it here. And if you see the tools, you find also a slope shorten, and that means if you have a short hair, you can build things like that. Yeah. So, and if you would do other things, for example, you would curl the hair, do that, and you can curl the hair a little bit and style it a little bit. Here, if you not want to paint with the hair guides in the layouter or build it with the layouter tools. So that's the way you can build hairs in the simplest way you can show here. Yeah, you can also say, okay, make the hair longer and so. So, and now I show you what you can do if you would remind in what way I build it. So we go here on load, and I go here in my folder for that girl, and I have here inside a hair set. That's popper 1, yeah. And if you load that, you would see that's exactly the hair set I use then in the layouter to build and show the hair set I show now. So, okay? So, in that way, you can understand what I do. So, if I create now the hair set, he will deploy 2-point poly strands for that. And then you have 2 ways to work with that set. The first is you cut out here in modeler the polygons that goes over the ears if you not need it, or you can paint it with a shorten function and create a hair set in layout himself, and that's what I show now. Okay, so if you have that hair set, and that hair set is here this year, so I call it popper, so I have now not to create a new, that's this year, I use the technique that I cut out here for the ears, the hairs here in that area, but you must not do that. You can also do it in layout. That's what I would say. Yeah. So let us close that object. You can then scroll a little bit in the layers for that objects to find out all the hair variations. So that's I call it short hair setup. Yeah. So, and in what way is it now created? If we start the FX tools and start a fiber FX, you will find here then that layer popper. You have to load it in before that you see it here in the FFX. And if you load it in, the default looks then in that way. So that's the default view if the hairs are not activated. Yeah. So if you activate it now, so that's the first here that you activate it, yeah, and then you say here, okay, show me that hair. So that's only that he show it, and how many hairs he show with fiber FX you found under the options. So you can set here a scene edge limit if you have an older graphic card or something like that, yeah. So that means the first here it's a symbol that your hair set is now active, and the second is that you can see it. If you want not to see it, it means not that it is not active. So it's all time active. If I now start Octane, for example, as renderer, so that he show me the render output, you would see that you can see the hair in the rendering. It's only not represented in OpenGL. Yeah, and that's a little bit the way it works. If you, want to visualize the fiber FX hairs for the preview. Okay, so you have seen it, yeah, so you cannot see it in the OpenGL preview, but if you load it in Octane, he sees that hair set, would build it and render it. We go out of the rendering now. Now I activate it here one more time, and if you see it the first time, it looks not in that way. So it looks in that way. I do here some things. So that means if you load it the first time, the fiber quantity is 1. So it looks then more in that way, yeah, and not in that way. So the fiber quantity you give here have a correlation how many from that hair guides you build. Yeah. So if you build in the Lightwave modeler more hair guides, you need not so much fiber quantity. Yeah. If you build lower hair guides, not 1000, only 100 for example, then you need a fiber quantity 10 times more. Then it must be here 400 and not 40. Yeah. So you can also work with clusters. In my case, I love it to build one cluster, is it possible? So it make it easier for the renderer. Yeah. And you give here the hair width, and traditional I use along the fiber V a little gradient. Yeah. So that hair he comes out of the head is not so thick, then it go a little bit thicker. It's along the fiber V thick, and then it go on the end a little bit smaller. So yeah, but that's a personal thing in what way you do it. It's for your own, yeah, it's your own thing. So then you found here some things. For example, that's not in bundle mode, so we would not create a twisted hair or a braid hair, so it's off. And you can see that I have here built under styling some things in. For example, you have here clamping from 100. If I do it to 0, you have that kind of hair. So that's more electric and it have no clamping. Yeah. So if you render it now without that clamping factor, you will see that you then create another style. So that's the reason it's called styling here. Another style for that hair. Yeah. But in principle, all the hairs have the same length, but it's placed in another style in that set. Yeah. So you see it now, that's a new set. Ah, it looks funny, yeah. Cool. So that's the thing with FFX. You see, it's totally easy to use if you use it in the right way. And nothing crashed, or what I heard often, that's all not the case. You can also do it online if Octane is active. You see, take a look now. Wait a second. Oh, it's updated in real time. Woo! So that means if you play with the parameters, king's play, stray, swirl, that's all your own goal, your own destination, whatever you want. Also, is it with the scaling? The scaling for the hair is now 200%. That means the hair is double length as his own guides. So if I go now to scale 100, that's the original length that I built as preset hair set in the Lightwave modeler. Yeah, so now you have that kind of hair. That's really a short hair. Yeah, so you can variate with that scaling. Yeah, so for example, if we give him here also a random length from 100, another variation, and so on and so on. Yeah, so whatever you do there, that's your own goal, your own destination. I have nothing to do with that. I show only what you can do in that case and what it makes and in what way FFX reacts then. Yeah. So you see, you can quickly style your hair set. So that's my destination. I love it. Yeah. I found it funny with that clumping and so and that's the way you can build a hair set if you build a short hair set with 2-point poly chains. Last tip for that, if you want to style the geometry with edit guides, you can also do that. For that, here you have no styles stored, but if you want it, do it if you want. So you go to edit guides, the style name is style, say okay, and you say, oh, okay, I have it. So let it call it style 1, yeah, and now created that style, yeah. Well, you show it here, enter unique name. So and now you can, if you want, also paint that guides. So for example, we have a straight 400 for scale, yeah, and you go then in there and say, here, make that hair longer if you want. So you have the total control if you want it. So there's no problem to build with FFX quickly nice hair sets. Yeah. So I go off that, I have shown it. Now he have stored that hair guides, and now you see directly that it would bring it in my hair set. Yeah. So in that way you can do the following. You can build style guides for the same basic hair set and build quickly 10 style guides. And you can store it then. Yeah. So if I want, I can now say edit guides. Then I create the next style guide, the next style. Painting with hair guides in another form for the hair, or another length, or I straighten it in another direction, or push the hair in another direction and build the next one. Yeah. So that you can quickly do, and it works perfect. Trust me, you see it here in real time, and I record in the same time a video. Yeah. So, and in the end, if you want, you can also with a gravity play. So the gravity here is 2% in the moment. If you bring it to 0, then the hair goes a little bit up, you know. Or you say, hey, give me a minus, and that's the thing. You can also say, hey, give me a minus from 5. Yeah. Then you do things like that. So want to say also the gravity play a role. That means if you want that the hair is more on the head and not in another way, then give him a little bit gravity. So you have not to paint it for that in that direction. It's enough to use the gravity. Yeah. So I hope that video helped a little bit. I hope you have fun with that scene and check out all my hairstyles. See ya in the next video. Later, bye.